talking about us as managers and growing our business. I ran a boot camp last year, and there was an assignment. I wanted to give them case studies of managers, and I couldn't find enough information about us, right? I couldn't find enough information about us, our successes, things we've done to reference for my lectures. So I had to go and start looking at um, uh, Scott Parker, other people in different regions and different times to give case studies. And I feel like it's gotten to a point where we need to. So I gave them an assignment and I said, look, you're going to reach out to managers across this industry, and you're going to actually talk to them, and you're going to find out their challenges, how they came to be, so that we can start talking. But I think what that exercise forced me to think about was, why don't we tell our stories? I feel like we've gotten to a point where there's a lot of, is it that we've done so much work that we just want our piece? Or is it that we don't, I mean, not everybody wants to be in the limelight, but I think we do need to tell our stories. And the reason why I say this, and I'll come to you guys in a bit, but the reason why I say this is, we have young people who are trying hard to convince their parents that this is what they want to do, and their parents can't actually find references to say, okay, I see that this person lives well, lives comfortably. I see that this person is doing a great job. I see that this person is respected. So I can't let you go because the only thing I see is the artist. And I don't want you doing that. And I think, so why do you guys think we don't tell our stories? Or what's stopping us? I'll start with you. I said I was going to start with you.
It's okay, I'm ready. So, passion. So, why I say passion, and then, in this case, for the first, as the first thing is, especially us,
Yeah.
right?
We just want to do our job.
We were too focused on trying to achieve the goal of making our talents who they are today, right? So, it was, as far as I know, there aren't a lot of selfless managers, and so the the selfless ones spent too much time. They didn't think there was any need for anybody to for anybody to hear or listen to their stories, or their stories. So, but like you said, and like Abuchi said, I mean, imagine Abuchi saying last year is when he thought about, okay, you know what, it's time for myself.
Yeah.
Right? Eloka 5 years ago, myself some years ago, you 8 years ago. So at the end of the day, we didn't even at any point begin to think, okay, so there is somebody who needs to hear our story.
Yeah.
We didn't think that. But now even the talents need to tell their stories too.
Yeah.
Because if the average guy, if you go to the beach or you go to the park and the average guy comes to you and says, "Oh, guy can rap, please listen." You get, so now the influences are so passive that we didn't even notice people were trying to be us.
Yeah.
Right? So like you said, there are kids who are telling their mother, that's what I want to do. I want to be able to be the one to take that guy here or take that girl there. So I've had a few eureka moments, and I've told my team not once, not twice, guys, build my Wikipedia page. I've told them not once, not twice, it's time to sell me as a brand, but not as an individual.
Yeah.
As
my
a
work.
mini industry. So it's my work. So
Yeah.
you're selling me as an industry in terms of what the team has done. So we couldn't tell the story as far as I was concerned because of the things I said, passion and then time and less growth. But now there is all of that, and people are looking on to us as not mentors, but as a direction.
Yeah.
Right? As a goal. So as much as we say we've not done it, we're going to do it now.
Yeah.
We started doing it.
We started,
We're telling our stories, and it will keep going further that way down the road.
Fantastic. Abuchi, do you have any reason?
So just to let me just go back before what you said, and just to add some things to what you said.
Yeah, okay.
You're talking about like your approach versus the brand manager's approach. This is what you've done. And just to add, another thing again is data. So you think, okay, this is how many reach I can reach. This is what my conversion is. This is on one post, this is how many click I get on this. So I feel like we need to be in that level of when you're having a conversation with brand manager, you're showing him, I say, this post is better than yours. Not because Godwin said so. This is what the data shows.
Yeah.
It shows how much, because if you go to Instagram, they show you click per acquisition. Like they show you one click, this is how much you get. There's projection to those things. So I think like we need to be like data savvy or too savvy that know if my artist gets 1,000 click like on one picture, this is what the conversion is. Because those brands spend the money to get those likes, those click. So we have to get to that point and say, okay, this is what the result is saying, and being able to interpret it on the language they understand. Because that's how we get the respect.
Okay, so because that means we too need to learn brand language.
Yes, very important. Because that's how you could like enter the conversation. Because a brand manager, as much as he wants to give you money, he has to justify it to his boss. But because if you understand his language and how he's going to justify it, it saves him stress, it saves him stress. So it's an easy work. And they talked about emotional intelligence. I feel like that's one of the key fundamentals of being a manager.
Yeah.
Like you have to be after all of us, our artists have broken our hearts. Not once, not twice. So that's very important. I'm saying, I feel like what Alex said is, like for me, for a long time, it's all about the work.
Yeah.
Like I always believe like you're good as your last job. Yeah. So for me, every time is like I want to, this is the yardstick. I've achieved it. I want to settle another one. But again, if you think about it, like I was telling the team this last week, I said every successful business that has every successful company in the last, let's say, 30 to 40 years, there's one thing they know how to do very well. They know how to tell their stories. Is it Apple? Apple is good in three things: technology, story, and processes. So if you go to an Apple store, because of the process, you don't even like it's a story they're telling you. They're telling you they're different. So when you go to Apple store, you don't say cashier. They're telling you a story. They keep on telling you a story. They tell you their mark is not for anybody. It's for the crazy ones. Like they tell you a story to buy inside. If you pick one company that you admire in the past 10 years, that they're good at three things: they tell story, they use technology, and they have great processes. So just learning that, then I realized that we have to start telling our stories, which is something I'm realizing now. If you don't tell it, somebody's going to tell their story and give you like,
you will not like it.
You won't even like it. Yeah. They'll give you one mention when you are the originator of the story. So I just feel like moving forward, like those three things, we just need to learn how to imbibe that to our culture and our DNA.
Okay, fantastic. Eloka.
I think for me, there are different kinds of stories, right? There are different ways to tell a story. For example, you're telling a story of a journey that you're on, right? Yeah. So it's a continuous story, right?
Yeah.
Probably some things from way back, and right now as you move, you're kind of like, should I say, keeping logs, right? Of how, the journey is, which is very, very, very commendable and impressive. I've seen situations like what Alex was saying, that a lot of the times artists are managers are very selfless and very passionate. I've seen Alex put his body on the line, not once, not twice. It's only somebody that is selfless and very passionate and is even willing to put their life, God forbid though, their life on the line for their artist, right? Yeah. That would embark on a journey and not even think of themselves, but will put the talent first, trying to make sure that the talent's successful, because if the talent's successful, then, it's good work done. And I think that's, to me, that is enough like satisfaction. After doing a good job, you look back like, yes, I delivered on this. That's all I need. Sometimes it might not even be the money. Money is important, yes, but it's that satisfaction. So for me, it's always, there's a story to tell, but the timing has to be right. If you put out a story at the wrong time, it might not have the same effect. right? For instance, Arsene Wenger, his autobiography came out, I think, a few years ago, right? He knew that he didn't want to tell his story while he was a manager. He wanted to wait till the end of his management run and then tell a detailed story that might even add more value to the fabric of football. Right now, he's a director of football, I think, with FIFA, which is a different, level he's at. But the timing has to be right, right? It's always good to tell a story, but you have to make sure it's the right story, it's at the right time, sometimes to have a maximum effect. So there are different ways of doing things. I wouldn't say one way is right, one way is wrong. Know what works for you, how best to add value to probably the generations coming afterwards, and work with it.
Fantastic. So segueing from that, there's an adage that says that if somebody places you on a tree, right, and you fall, you're going to have a problem going back to where they put you. But if you climb, you will fall a few times, but if you find your way to the top, nobody will ever have to teach you how to get back up. And this is specifically for young managers now. I've gotten, the whole thing about rushing to get grown. I've received calls, like literally at 1 a.m. during an event. A stage manager calls me and says, "What is wrong with your boys?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, my boys?" And he's like, "Well, look at what this manager just did now." And multiple times, it's always a story about somebody feeling important and feeling bigger than he is. And I've actually reached out to one of these managers and I've said, "Look, you need to understand that the only reason why you're receiving calls today is because of the artist you're affiliated to. Right? The moment you stop working with this artist, or the moment the artist stop working with you, your relevance to whoever you think you are important to will drop unless you have more value to offer." And from the conversation I've had, it's clear that you still need a lot of work to do. So what is the one thing, that one mistake that a lot of young managers are making now, that some of us made, maybe we didn't make, maybe we made, that they're making, that they need to actually pay attention to avoid losing their way? Because I mean, there've been some bright guys over the years that we've all worked with that have just folded and just said, "Look, I can't do this thing anymore. I don't want to do it." What are those things that young managers are doing now that could put them in that kind of space?
Okay. Well, the thing is, I mean, like you pointed out, they're mainly personal factors. It's really about what you want to achieve yourself. So the first question is, why does that young guy want to be a manager? Why does that young girl or woman why does she want to be a manager? What's your aim? What's your plan? Are you trying to make money, or are you trying to help somebody, or are you trying to grow yourself as a brand? Do you have an aim to set up a company yourself that you would call a talent management company? What is your aim? So if you know where you are headed, it's a personal decision. I say this over and over again because that would make you know how to manage relationships with the brands you are working with. What I mean by brands is, I mean, everyone keeps talking about shows and events. The truth is, there's so much more to a talent than events and shows. You know, when I was growing up, because I grew up in this industry too. When I was growing up in this industry as a talent manager, there are people who came and said, "Why are you tired? What do you mean you're tired? It's not be show. Now show what are they do now? No? You guys just go to a gig and that's it." I thought that's what I said. No. I said after that gig, right at that gig, I'm sending 10 emails. I'm replying 6 conversations. And then the next morning,
meetings all day.
Yes.
Before the show.
And that's what I'm about to say. So next morning, so I'm starting off from the show because that's all they see. I said, and the next morning, I'm right at another meeting at 8 a.m. Physically and otherwise, remotely. So it shocks them. I see this shock. They're like, oh wow. So
this is what goes into this job.
What goes on. So for me, I can tell you guys for free that, and I'll say this here. I'm one of the most I don't want to use the word disliked talent managers at first impressions. They call me one of the most difficult, and I don't have any reply for it. All I say to everybody is, anybody who says I'm arrogant should tell you when I was arrogant to them, give you an example, give you an exact situation. Anybody who says, oh, he disrespected me, the person should give you an exact situation. Most of the time, you find out that it is probably one brand person who said, oh, I wanted your talent for this, and you refused to have him do it the way I wanted to do it, or you refused to have him step down from his situational level, or you refuse to have me come bring him to take pictures here or do that there. And I'm like, it's because you have to protect the brand who is your talent. I would go to a radio station and not say a word, and questions would be asked, conversations would be had during a radio interview, and I'm not saying anything, and the person is asking me, why are you not saying anything? And I say to them, that guy or that girl is the talent.
Yeah.
Right? The questions you need to know. The fans who are calling in want to speak to that guy. You mentioned something. It ends up being most of the time when people call you and complain about these new managers, it's always them feeling like they're larger than life or nobody can speak to them. You have to take a lot of things, because the idea is to implode. Let your talent implode where you are concerned. What I mean by that is always take the fall. Always be there to say, oh, okay, sorry, slap me. If your talent is proving difficult to do something, or trying to have a hard conversation, or saying he's not going to do that thing, don't go back and tell the brand manager that he said he won't do it. No, go back and say, okay, so as it is, we're having some technical difficulties.
How do we go around forward? It? Yeah.
But you will find some of these guys just randomly walk up and say, you no go do amo, or I'm sorry, that cannot work. You have to be able to manage these things, and with that, you as a talent manager will begin to grow some sort of respect for what you are doing.
Yeah.
What that means is, and that's confidence. It's not arrogance. So you now walk into a place, a brand, have a conversation with a brand person or an event person, and say, you know what, I can bring this person to do this. Don't worry, I'll get it done. Never say no. I always say it. Never say no. Always say it's doable, but let us find out how to manage the situation. Always say that. And when you do that, when you do that, what happens is you begin to open doors for yourself.
Yeah.
So you already so people will tell you, oh, you know what? I've been in situations where I've been part of the situations where some brands have signed up a talent because of their relationship with the manager.
Yeah.
They've said, okay, you know what, no, we'll work with that team.
You know, I even want to reference that. Shout out Abuchi. And I have to tell this story, because one of the things people don't see, and I had Night House for one of the episodes.
Okay.
And one of the things people fail, we have so many people that we should promote in the industry that we don't talk about enough. Okay. Right? Abuchi keeps saying, I'm his teacher. I don't know what kind of wash that is. But I remember one time I got called by a brand, and it was for an artist that had messed them up several times, but now I took over and I was now responsible for the artist.
We know.
And and so this brand manager calls me and goes, am I speaking to Godwin Tom? I said, yes, you're speaking to Godwin Tom. And she goes, I have a problem with the artist we're about to book. He's messed us up about 2 times already. But Abuchi says that you are now his manager, and that if you are his manager, he won't do it. I said he will not do it. And she goes, just letting you know that if this happens again, Abuchi is going to pay. Abuchi is going to pay both the money for the artist and the budget for the activation.
Wow.
Right? And I remember that vote of confidence, even if I wasn't going to let that happen in the first place, also forced me to begin to think. But then my next focus was, how do I now build a relationship with this person? That's one. And then secondly, how do I save the relationship with the artist? Because if I can build a better relation, because I mean, after that, I don't think we ever called Abuchi again for any problem, because we didn't have any, because they could not trust me to solve the problem. And I remember she called me one day and she was having a conversation with her people and she was like, is this guy, right? So I think a lot of people, as you mentioned earlier, and I feel that was a very important point, that's why I brought this up, that you have to be very cautious about, as a manager, the information you're giving your artist. As I said earlier, if I told an artist one day, it was like, you have to tell me, you don't seem to be doing everything. And I said, bro, for 30 no's, for me to get 1 yes, I've gotten 30 no's. People have slammed the door. They've said horrible things about you. They don't even want to talk to you. But I internalized that. And he goes, no, I want to be part of all the conversations because I want to see what you're doing. After like 30 emails that he was copied in, Baba said, please stop copying me in the emails. I don't want to see any emails. And I think it's because of how well we're communicating the challenges, it doesn't look like a challenge. It looks like, well, you've solved the problem, or it's what's there. But if they have those conversations, it's difficult.